What happens when a popular country music star joins a daytime talk show to promote his new album, but instead finds himself caught in a surprise debate? In just 31 seconds, a casual question about his songs turned into a heated exchange that left audiences across the country stunned. Last night, Blake Shelton stepped onto the set of The View, expecting a normal interview to talk about his music and career. But instead, he found himself in a tense showdown with Whoopi Goldberg, what some are now calling the most intense TV moment of the year. The studio lights were bright and warm as Blake took his seat, flashing his well-known Oklahoma smile at the cheering crowd. The audience was buzzing, with many already recording the moment on their phones. Joy Behar sat beside him, looking over her notes, with a grin. Sunny Hostin was quietly reviewing her talking points, and Sarah Haynes was adjusting her mic. The room felt alive, full of good energy. "We're back with country superstar Blake Shelton," Whoopi said into the camera with her familiar strong voice that viewers knew so well. "Blake, thanks for being here today." "Thanks for having me, Whoopi. Always happy to be here," Blake said, calm and friendly. He crossed one leg and leaned back in his chair, totally relaxed. The first few minutes went exactly as expected. Joy asked about his tour, and Blake lit up as he spoke about finally getting back on the road after such a long break. Sunny asked about life on his farm, and Blake shared some funny animal stories that had everyone laughing. Sarah asked about his songwriting, and Blake spoke thoughtfully about how he finds ideas in simple, daily moments. Everything was going smoothly, until Whoopi changed the tone completely. "So Blake," she began, her voice noticeably colder, "you've been pretty quiet lately about some important social issues. Don't you think celebrities have a duty to use their voice?" Blake looked surprised. His smile faded slightly as he realized what was happening. This wasn't about music anymore. The other hosts glanced at each other, sensing the sudden tension. "Well, Whoopi, I've always felt that my job is to entertain," Blake answered carefully. "People come to my shows or play my songs to feel better. That's what I try to give them." But Whoopi wasn't happy with that. She leaned in, her face more serious now. "That sounds like you're avoiding real problems. How can you just ignore what's going on in the world?" Blake's jaw tightened a little, but he stayed calm. "I'm not ignoring anything," he said. "I just think a lot of people already talk about politics. Maybe folks need someone who helps them remember the good parts of life." "The good parts?" Whoopi's voice rose. "People are hurting, Blake. They're losing jobs. They can't pay for healthcare. And you think singing a happy song is enough?" The audience started whispering. This wasn't the fun interview they expected. Joy tried to lighten things up with a joke, but Whoopi stopped her with a raised hand. "I think you're missing my point," Blake said, his Oklahoma accent growing stronger with frustration. "Music brings people together. When I'm on stage, I see folks from every walk of life singing the same song. That means something." "Bringing people together?" Whoopi repeated, almost laughing. "How does staying quiet on big issues help anyone? Sounds like the easy way out." Blake grabbed the arms of his chair, holding back his temper. "With respect, Whoopi, I don't think performing for hard-working people who just want to relax on the weekend is taking the easy way out." "Oh, so now you speak for working people?" Whoopi snapped. "Tell me, Blake, when's the last time you had to choose between paying rent and buying medicine?" Now it was personal. Blake's face turned red. Sunny looked uncomfortable. Sarah stared at her hands. Joy's mouth hung open in shock. "That's not fair, and you know it," Blake said, his voice louder now. "Just because I've had success doesn't mean I've forgotten where I came from." "Oh sure," Whoopi fired back, not slowing down. "You grew up in a trailer. Now you live in a mansion and won't speak up for people still living in trailers. How convenient." Blake stood up quickly, his chair scraping the floor. The crowd gasped. "You know what, Whoopi? I came here to talk about my music and maybe brighten people's day. I didn't agree to be attacked. Attack? Whoopi let out a cold laugh. I'm just asking about using your influence the right way. If that feels like an attack, maybe you need to ask yourself why. You're twisting my words, Blake shot back, his voice shaking. I never said I don't care about people's problems. I said I try to give them a break. That's not the same thing. Whoopi stood up too, meeting him eye to eye. Taking a break from reality doesn't solve anything. People need leaders, not singers hiding behind guitars. The other hosts were frozen, unsure whether to speak or stay quiet. Cameras kept rolling as things went far beyond what anyone expected. Hide behind my guitar? Blake repeated in disbelief. I've made music for 20 years, touching millions of lives. What are you hiding behind? The room fell totally silent. Even the camera crew stopped moving. Whoopi's eyes burned with fury after being called out so directly. Excuse me, she said slowly, her voice full of venom. I've been fighting for justice since before you knew what a record deal was. Fighting? Blake laughed bitterly. You mean yelling at people who don't agree with you? Yeah, real inspiring, Whoopi. Joy finally spoke up, desperate to bring things back to normal. Guys, maybe we should take a breath and talk about Blake's new single. But neither Blake nor Whoopi listened. They were too deep in their battle. You don't know anything about me or what I've done, Whoopi snapped. I've won awards you've never heard of. Awards? Blake said, amazed. You think trophies give you the right to ambush guests? To mock people for trying to make others happy? Sonny stepped in, trying to ease the tension. Blake, I think what Whoopi means is that having a big platform comes with big responsibility. Blake turned sharply toward her. Don't lecture me about responsibility, he said firmly. I hire hundreds of people. I give to charities. I help out in my town. I don't need to make speeches for people to know I care. No one knows about your charity work because you never talk about it, Sarah said softly, trying to keep things calm. Exactly, Blake said, throwing up his hands. I don't do it for attention. I do it because it's the right thing. Whoopi rolled her eyes. How noble, she said sarcastically. The quiet hero who sings about trucks and beer and gets rich from it. There you go again. Blake's voice rose to meet hers. Acting like country music is less important than whatever you're preaching today. I'm not putting down country music, Whoopi shot back. I'm calling you out for wasting a chance to stand up and say something that matters. Blake was stunned. You have no idea how many people have told me my songs helped them through hard times. How many couples danced to my music at their wedding. How many families shared memories at my concerts. But I guess none of that counts because I'm not shouting about politics. The crowd was now visibly divided. Some clapped in support of Blake, while others sat in silence. The tension was clear. Pretty songs don't change laws, Whoopi said coldly. They don't fix broken systems. And angry talk show segments do? Blake fired back quickly. When was the last time yelling at someone on TV actually changed their mind? Whoopi's face turned red. I inform people. I teach them about what really matters. No, Blake interrupted. You bully people. You invite guests on your show, then attack them if they don't say what you want. Joy waved at the producers behind the scenes, clearly begging for someone to cut to commercial. But the clash had gone too far to stop now. I ask real questions, Whoopi insisted. That's what good journalists should do, not just let celebrities sell their products. Real questions? Blake laughed bitterly. You didn't ask me anything about my music or my tour or what I've been working on. The second you decided I wasn't political enough, you went on the attack. Sarah tried again to steer things back. Blake, can you tell us about what it was like working with your band on this new album? But Blake wasn't interested anymore. You know what, Sarah? I'd love to talk about that. But clearly your co-host here is more focused on tearing me down than understanding what I do. I care about accountability, Whoopi declared. Which you clearly don't understand. Accountability? Blake's voice hit a new peak. I answer to my fans, my loved ones, and myself. I don't need your approval to prove my worth. Whoopi stepped closer and pointed at him. Your fans deserve better than someone who won't stand up for what's right. My fans deserve someone who respects them enough to let them think for themselves. Blake shot back without moving. I don't treat them like they're too dumb to make up their own minds. That hit hard. Whoopi's face changed. Her control slipped. Get out, she said, her voice low and sharp. Blake blinked, not sure he heard right. What? I said get out of my studio. Whoopi said louder. If you can't handle having a real talk about real problems, you don't belong here. Gasps filled the studio. Joy looked stunned. Sunny covered her face. Sarah froze in place. Blake didn't move for a second. Then a slow smile formed. Your studio? He asked calmly. I thought this was a show for all viewpoints. Looks like I was wrong. He reached down, unhooked his microphone, and gently placed it on the chair. You're right, Whoopi. I don't belong here. This isn't about talking or listening, he said, turning toward the cameras. This is about showing off how righteous you are by tearing people down if they don't agree with you. He looked straight into the lens. To everyone watching at home, I'm sorry you had to see this. I came here to talk about my music, but ended up in a political trap. I guess that's what happens when you expect a real conversation and get cornered instead. Blake began walking toward the exit, but Whoopi got in one final dig. Don't let the door hit you on your way out. Blake stopped and looked back. Classy to the end, aren't you, Whoopi? With that, Blake Shelton walked off the stage, leaving a silent crowd, shocked hosts, and one very angry Whoopi Goldberg standing alone at center stage.